Good morning and happy Monday to my friends out there in Elkton, Cecil County, Maryland, and beyond. This is Jobeth Bowers coming at you with another exciting edition. I know, Monday morning, 10 a.m. How exciting could it possibly be? But your Monday morning lawyer here. I have a special guest for today's episode who I will introduce in a moment. Today, in our continuing June series, which is kind of more of a PSA than anything about various types of scams that are out there and how to avoid them. Today, we are talking about entertainment or event-based scams. So I've brought with me on the show here one of my favorite entertainers and friends. His name is Colin Chapman. He is a comedy hypnotist from Virginia. Good morning, Colin. How are you?
Great. How's your Monday starting off?
It is going about as well as any Monday could go. Actually, it's kind of great. So, it's fun. We've been doing this for about 2-3 months now with various different topics. And then, as you know, I posted something maybe about a month and a half ago looking for, follower and friend input on social media about various scams so I could do an episode about it, and it ended up turning into a landslide of ideas because there are just so many rampant scams out there at every gate. And it seems like, and really a great illustration of the first half of what we're going to talk about, it comes from the form of where technology that makes everything better has really set the trap on one of these. So when we talk with you, we're going to talk about something that really kind of attacks entertainers themselves. But first, I want to get to something that I have run into personally and really learned about this thing a year to a year and a half ago. For anybody out there who is somehow living under a rock, watching this video and otherwise unaware, in addition to being the lead attorney here, the owner, whatever you want to call me here at Bowers Law, I also am the coordinator for Elkton Magic. It is an organization where we bring traveling, touring mystery entertainers to Elkton, or sometimes we get them booked in other places and we put on stage shows. They usually do them once a month. And as the coordinator, I set up all the ticket sales. I promote all of the shows, a lot of which is done on social media. You've probably been out and about. If you are not watching this video from afar, you have seen many of the posters like the ones in the background promoting these shows as they come out there. And I want to say that it was last year, January, I accidentally oversold one of our shows and learned about a new scam all at the same time. There was a day, and this is going to be that me being that old man shaking my fist at the clouds. All right, get off my lawn, whatever you want to call it. But back in the day, I don't know, you kids are out there going to look at me like, okay, boomer, but not really. I might look that old, but I'm not. Back in the day, when I was your age, we had physical tickets to events. So if you could not make an event, or if you were looking to make a few quick bucks on sporting event tickets or whatever, you and I, if you wanted to buy those tickets from me, had to meet up. And I had to physically hand you those tickets, and you had to physically hand me whatever currency we negotiated. That made it next to impossible to get scammed, unless, of course, Colin had a knife or a gun and was going to hold me up for a pair of tickets, which, I'm sure that's happened before, but it's probably a little.
And there were the occasional printed ticket scams.
Right.
Where people were counterfeiting tickets. But that's all requires a lot.
Correct. Yeah, and especially as you would see more and more sports teams, especially like the NFL, they would put the gold foil on them or whatever embossing that they would do to make it super impossible, or at least super difficult to do. But nowadays, if you go and you will see this, and unfortunately, I went back through the archives from the time that this happened, trying to get some screenshots to show. But fortunately, those social media outlets seem to have banned and removed a lot of the users that were causing this trouble. And again, they're bots, so they keep recreating them. But the comments that existed on the posts that I'm going to reference here no longer exist because those specific accounts in that date and time were fortunately removed by the algorithm or the Zuck or whatever. But we sold out a show. In fact, you may even see by me saying sold out, there may be some comments that start to drop into the chat here because if you were to go post on social media, Facebook specifically, this is like a hotbed for this, that an event is sold out almost instantaneously, you will start getting bot posts in the comments saying, hey, I'm unavailable to make this show. I've got 2 tickets. I've got 4 tickets. I've got whatever. I'm looking to make a deal so I don't waste this money. It's a scam. 99% of the time when you see something like that, it's a scam. How is it a scam? And this is what to look out for. All of this stuff is digital. So you're being asked to send money on a platform, and you're going to feel like you got a really great deal on this because they're just looking to make some of their money back. So if the tickets cost, and this happens at all levels. So like the shows that we do at Elkton Magic, most of those tickets you can get for as low as $15. But I'm talking big name concerts, Taylor Swift, all this stuff with the big names, expensive tickets. You're going to feel like you're getting a great deal because they're going to be like, hey, I paid $200 for these tickets. I'm looking to get $200 for the pair so they don't go to waste and I get some of my money back. Sounds great, right? Well, like all of our scams, if they start to sound too good to be true, they probably are. Next step in this process is that they engage with you. A lot of times they'll try to shift and put you onto a different platform, as we talked about last week. Anytime somebody's trying to shift the conversation to a different platform, they're trying to get themselves into some way that's less.
Yeah, WhatsApp is a huge red flag.
Yeah,
And
as is a program called Telegram, which I don't even have.
no, Telegram is a big one, and I'm not sure that I can actually say this word on the platforms you're on, but a lot of these scams get tied into groups that engage in terrorism. And so those 2 particular platforms, WhatsApp and Telegram, are essentially military communication channels for them. And
Okay.
so they use them in their scams too.
Interesting. Yeah, so if anybody's trying to take the conversation, as we've mentioned before, and we'll probably mention again, to a different platform, that's a red flag. But they will want to get your payment on something that does not have buyer protection. So as you sure you know, if you bought anything using PayPal, as long as you were doing goods and services, there's a dispute process. I didn't get my stuff. And it's usually pretty easy to be protected there. But things like Venmo, Cash App, I'm sure there's some other ones out there where you don't know really where you're sending that stuff to. That's kind of the scam because they get that little bit of money from you and then poof, they disappear. They never had tickets. We got quote unquote scammed. We didn't really get scammed, but I saw this. I'm trying to be a good patron to the attendees of these shows. I leave a comment saying, hey, don't worry about reselling the tickets. Shoot us a private message. We will refund you. This show had already sold out, which is why we posted that it sold out. I had a wait list of like 14 people. So not being aware of this scam, the first thing I do is release tickets on the wait list. So everybody on the wait list got an email, hey, there's tickets available. They start buying up tickets. I start trying to cross-reference the name so I could go into the system and refund the tickets. These names aren't people who bought tickets. Then I did a little bit more digging and realized what this scam was. So you've got to be super vigilant. You got to make sure that if you do go through and they seem to be legit, and a lot of times you're going to see people that hopefully they have mutual friends with you or something like that. Make sure you're using, if you can't meet in person, make sure you're using a payment platform that actually has buyer protection. Also, if it's something that's smaller, like if it's a big time Ticketmaster event, if it's a big stadium, you're not going to be able to do this. But if it's like a small community thing, a local thing like the shows that we do, don't hesitate to reach out to that venue and say, hey, Colin Chapman is trying to sell me tickets that he has. Can you please confirm so that I don't get scammed that Colin Chapman actually has tickets to that? And if it's a small time thing like we do at Elkton Magic, a lot of our shows only seat 200-300 people. So it's not a huge thing. And I don't want, obviously I'm sitting here doing these PSAs so people don't get scammed. I'm going to take that time to confirm that. So be careful with that stuff. It's super common. You're going to see it. You're going to start to recognize it now. Anytime an event announces that it's sold out, you're going to start seeing those bots come on there with tickets for sale. So be warned, they're probably not legit. People are also posting this stuff without the sold out into different groups and community groups online to say, hey, I've got tickets to a real event that's really happening. They may even show you pictures of like the seat view from where you're sitting and do all this stuff to make it look legit. It's probably not. So that's how to protect yourself as a consumer on these. Now, Colin, let's talk about something that firsthand somebody tried to pull on you not too long ago as an entertainer.
So this is the fifth one of these I have gotten through a platform called Bark. And one of the things I'll just come right out and say is that and first off, let me explain what Bark is. Bark is a platform where professionals, including entertainers, but you can get lawyers, house cleaners, accountants, all kinds of different professionals, where you post on Bark that you have a certain need, and then the professional can pay money to purchase the lead. And then they get your contact information, they reach out to you. And Bark is a platform and LinkedIn is a platform where both of those platforms are doing something I consider to be pure evil. They are profiting from these different scams. And one of the things that I've noticed, the first red flag is they will not talk to you in any kind of format that's over the phone, on Zoom, or anything else. They insist on everything going via text message. Sometimes they will try and move to Telegram, to WhatsApp, but it's usually text message. They will not, and they've always got a tragedy to justify why they can't talk to you on the phone. Okay.
So keep that in mind. If you're trying to buy tickets from somebody, same thing applies.
Yep. Cause it's like this one, with this dude, Michael Cole, who I had connected with. And by the way, when you connect with these people as the professional, it's like you have to pay money. I'm paying like $20 to talk to somebody about a corporate show just to get the opportunity to get their contact information.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I'm being treated for lung cancer and I'm on bed rest, so I can't speak to you on the phone. Is like, and so who wants to say anything too terribly harsh to somebody with lung cancer, right?
But also on the same note, and this is kind of where the red flag thing pops into play, and I think that you fleshed this one out pretty early in the process, but props to any of those people that are out there being warriors. But if you are on bed rest, you are probably not in a position to be setting up a corporate event of any type.
Mm-hmm.
So there are always clues. There
Yes,
are always
there are
clues. Some of them, if you're not looking for it, kind of fly under the radar until you kind of take a look back at it. But there are clues.
there are clues, and a lot of times there's something bizarre. The one that I really didn't want to be a scam, the one I really wanted to be real, was it was for a law firm in I think it was Charlotte, and it was going to be a combination corporate birthday and celebration of the coronation of King Charles.
Hmm.
I so very badly wanted to go down and meet these rednecks who were fired up about Mr. Camilla Parker Bowles becoming King of England. It's like I had to see this. This was gonna be comedy gold. I was already in my head starting to write the set built around redneck celebrating the coronation of King Charles. Okay. Cause it's like this was some messed up stuff, whatever it was. But I kind of knew from the jump. And the thing is that there's always this little bit of doubt that something could be going right. LinkedIn profits from scammers because they are getting paid money through their in-mail product, and they refuse to ban anybody from engaging in spam and engaging in scams. And they just don't care because they're getting paid. Bark, they're making $20 every time somebody buys one of these scam leads.
And when that lead goes out there, there might be 5, 6, 8, 10 different entertainers that purchase that lead. There's not really a limit on it, correct?
The Michael Cole lead.
And
That
this is what it looked like on your end when it came in. So you could
yes,
see this is the first half of the lead coming in here. You have not purchased this lead yet,
correct.
according
Correct.
to the way that this screen is set up. So you
Correct.
could see a location. You can see how many other people have responded to it already. I don't use Bark, so I don't know exactly what the 8
Right.
credits equates to, but I'm assuming that that's somewhere in that $20 range.
So
Uh,
that would be about $19.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's $16 to $19 depending on the program that you're on. So not free. Okay. It's real money. And you get and so this one was supposed to be a celebration for his parents' 50th wedding anniversary, and they were going to be doing a white party. I was going to need to get a white tuxedo for this event, which it's like, okay, this is weird. Is it the craziest thing I've been asked to do? No, not quite. Um, uh,
There's always crazier, you know.
there's always crazier. It's not like I was asked to do a show at a night fight or something like that.
Who who knows anybody who's done anything like that with a big
Yeah,
metal
who
object?
knows?
So,
Uh, but but there's all these red flags, but there's still a chance. And so I can't just start messing with them from the jump.
all right, so let's fast forward a little bit for
Okay.
time
Yeah.
here. You go back and forth with the person. You decide that this is going to happen. You set a price. What happens next?
So I ask, what is your budget? It tells me $1,500. And it's like, I'm sorry, given the distance of travel and everything, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I wish you all the best. And it's like, and right away, like almost instantly, he comes back. And having done over 150 of these shows at almost 150 of these shows at this point, nobody ever negotiates like this.
Right.
It's like, I'll pay $2,500 plus your travel. And it's like, and at this point, I'm 100% certain that it's a scam. So I'm just going to mess with them. It's like, okay, great. It's like, I'm going to need you to send 1250 uh, for the uh for the deposit, and that will secure the date. So they overnighted me in this a check, and right after they sent
And
it,
this is where it gets hot. This is where it gets
yep,
hot.
and right after they sent it, I get a message like, Colin, there's been a complication. Um, w- my assistant accidentally sent it for yeah, I think it was actually $1,350 was the deposit. I accidentally sent it for $13,500. It's like, really? And oh, we can't put a stop payment on the check. It's like, no bank
Like,
on the planet is incapable of putting stop payment on a legitimate check. And so it's like and then uh and I know this is bullshit. I just say, look, we'll get it all figured out.
yeah.
Okay, just kind of reeling them in. Now, here's the one thing I want people to really be aware of. At this point, I
Because
knew.
this scam, it presents itself in so many different formats. We're talking about it in the context of entertainers, but it
Right.
exists so many other places.
But the pattern from here is always the same. Okay. They are sending a fraudulent check that they want you to deposit, and they accidentally overpaid by some ridiculous amount. Okay. And they wanted me to, once I got it, deposit it. And once the check clears, to send them back the difference. Okay.
If anybody wants a reference to this, a famous reference to this, I think it was probably in the early 2000s. Leonardo DiCaprio was in this movie called Catch Me If You Can.
Mhm.
And this is a true story, obviously dramatized for the screen, but a true story of a guy back when technology isn't what it is today that would put these fraudulent checks and so much other stuff together that it shows this process that even today the banks don't have the ability to instantaneously determine that a check is fraudulent because the fraudsters can do this quite well and they look really
Right.
good.
Right. And so at this point, I know I'm going to be getting a fraudulent check for $13,500. That's a really serious felony.
Yeah.
So I start off reaching out to local law enforcement. They
And
send.
key also the other key here, one of the things
Mhm.
is that he's asking you to return that money, or she, whoever it is, via money order.
Correct,
A
which would
money
have
order is as
also.
good as cash. You have to take cash.
Right, which it's like
Get
it's like part of the thing that's a red flag is the scammer wasn't very smart, because nobody in their right mind is going to go into their bank and withdraw over $10,000 and get a suspicious activity report dropped on them by their bank. Um and then walk around with over $10,000, to go take care of this. So so y so you're so I start reaching out to law enforcement, start off with the local police. They sent a police aide out to take my report. They could not, because of the amount of it, they could not take my report over the phone. A detective who had been retired for 5 years, and this is Chesterfield County, Virginia. It's one of the largest counties in Virginia. But it's Chesterfield County, Virginia. It's not New York City. Detective called me up and said, "Look, I'm working part." They brought me back after I retired to handle these scams part time. Yours is the 30th. I'm on my second day of work this week. This is the 30th overpayment scam I have had hit my desk this week. We
In one
don't
county.
in one county in Virginia. Okay. After 2 days of work.
Yeah.
And it's like we do not have the resources to even coordinate with wherever it is that they're going to have you send the check.
And when
And it's
you are
like,
sending a money order, it is some in substance to what we've talked about earlier on this episode and last week. It is cash. It
right.
is untraceable. There's
Absolutely.
no record of who, like when you send somebody a check, they at least need to provide ID. Oftentimes banks will charge ridiculous fees if you don't put it into an account that you own. So there are ways with a check to trace who's receiving it. Not with a money order.
Right. And if you do deposit this check and it ends up being bad, you've got no protection either.
None
It's going to
whatsoever.
fall back on you. The only thing you can do as a business is if you have specific insurance to handle criminal activity losses. There is a specific type of insurance. Talk to your insurance professional. I'm not one of those, but I have people who I do work with who do that. But it's like you're out that money. It's gone forever.
Yeah.
Is basically for 99.9% of the population. So I figured, okay, let's go to the US Postal Inspector. They sent it to me via postal service. They want me to get a money order, right? You can't even talk to anybody. The FBI, which has the resources to send FBI agents to people's houses over their social media posts that they don't like.
Yeah. But
They won't even talk to anybody.
The biggest problem with it, though, is the untraceable element here to some extent. Like these folks have disappeared before they've gotten it. It's so difficult.
And
FBI to
here's
track
the
these
thing
folks
is
down.
that I was gift wrapping them these scammers.
Yeah.
Okay. They would have been able to put somebody, granted, it would have been a low-level person, the runner who is going to be getting this $10,000 plus package, but they could have rolled them up from there.
Yeah.
And it's like I was willing to keep it ongoing. And so then finally, once I realized that wasn't going to happen, I just started messing with Michael Cole. I frequently will mess with the scammers on LinkedIn. A lot of them indicate that they are Chinese females, and they happen to be more attractive than most people on LinkedIn who look like the two of us. Is much more typical what you get on LinkedIn. And
Colin, no offense, but you're not setting the bar too high there.
I know I'm not setting the bar high. Okay. Okay. I'm not setting the bar high at all. I'm really crystal clear. And it's like, and so it's possible I might have said, here, let me send you my picture, and sent them a picture of the Dalai Lama. And it's like, or how about this one? And a picture of Tank Man from Tiananmen Square. And then told them to tell their bosses at the MSS, which is basically the Chinese version of the CIA and KGB, for the uninitiated. But it's like at some point, I just have fun messing with them. And it's like this one, I was hoping to see whoever the artist pretending to be Michael Cole was. I wanted to find out that somebody had ended up in handcuffs, because this stuff is hurting real people and it sucks.
Yeah, because for everybody who identifies it, there's probably 8 or 9 more that don't and get socked with this. So be hyper vigilant. These mistakes don't happen. Nobody's going to send you a check accidentally for 10 times what they meant to.
Yeah.
Anything where anybody's asking you, because they do come in different forms, but they're all some in substance, many of them to sending you a check. Where a lot of us are familiar with the, hey, you won the lottery, or my sick relative is dying and thinks that you are the one that should put this money out there and do good with it. We're going to send you a check for $90 million, and then you need to send us $2,000 back or something. All of this stuff is hooey. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us. We ran.
Hey, it's been my pleasure.
We'll be back next week with some business-oriented scams. So if you are a business owner, tune in to see some of the scams that are out there that might affect you. And as always, if you've got ideas, questions, and things that you'd like to see us cover, shoot us an email at info@bowerslawmd.com. We're happy to take other submissions, questions, and otherwise, and bring in experts like Colin here to talk about anything, not just scams, but we are doing scams for the month of June. So be safe out there, be well, and we will see you soon.